Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another video. I am here with a special guest, Allison Green, a bridge aficionado based out of London. Allison, thank you for joining us.
Hi.
So it's a real treat. I've heard such wonderful things from you. Of course, you're a close friend and a bridge partner at times with one of our teachers, Bridget Rampton. How would you describe yourself as a bridge player? Where are you on this bridge journey?
Um, I like playing competitive bridge. I started just in a ladies group, having lessons, and then got the bug. Learned how to play Acol first. Most people in England learn how to start playing four-card majors and weak no trump,
Hmm.
which I thought was amazing to cut my teeth on because it's when you're left in a weak one no trump contract, you have to really think about the layout around the table and analyze the lead.
Mm.
And it was challenging, and it was a good start. And then I progressed to five card majors, weak no trump, and then from there adopted a 2-over-1 game with Bridget, um, and play conventions that we like that we think go together.
Oh,
So yeah,
well,
that's where I am.
we're so glad to have you with us. This hand, I think it was just a random hand that you played recently. Is that right?
Very recently, like literally this morning.
All
So
right.
I always wake up and have a cup of tea and just sort of play the instead of playing a crossword, I might play a hand with a cup of tea first thing in the morning.
I
So
love
this
it.
is
Oh, I'm the
this
same
is
way. I
good.
have my coffee spot. I just go sit outside, play a couple hands. So let's maybe we'll restart our days together. Maybe
Yeah.
some of
So
our
I have to
viewers.
say, sometimes I probably should be sitting at the table like I mean to sit at the table. But sometimes when you're sort of casually having a cup of tea or coffee, you might be less alert, more casual, and might be a bit experimental, which is fine. And I think it's really good as progressing
Hmm.
bridge players to experiment and test your boundaries a little bit. But anyway, that's just
I
a little
love that.
background here. Yeah, so
I
it might
really
be a
love
little,
that, Steve.
little
Great.
background
Find,
on
find the
how well
appropriate
or how
places.
poorly I played it.
That's
Yes.
wonderful. All right, yeah. Well, we'll have to see how experimental you got with this one. All
Okay.
right, so here we go. We are sitting south as you this morning. Um, First, yeah, take it away. We'll pepper in some questions here and there, but why don't you
Yeah.
talk
So
us through
So you never know what to expect from a robot on Bridge Base Online, I have to say. But and it depends which, sentient being you get, I have to be honest with you, because sometimes the defense does things that you're not expecting, and your partner does some things that you're not expecting. On this hand, I believe they play better minor, um, which I don't really play, but I'm expecting that they have better diamonds than clubs on this hand is a simple way of thinking of it.
it. Okay.
And even though I've got a lot of diamonds in my hand, they might only be opening one diamond with three of them. And I
Mm-hmm.
always feel I have to get the major across. So even though it looks pretty ghastly, my
Mm.
major,
Mm.
um, I think it's really important to get your four-card major across. And my sort of mentors or little angels who sat on my shoulder would always chant that to me. And I think it's really
Mm.
important to think of that.
I know you've learned from and played with some of the best, so I thank you for
Yeah.
laying that. We can all imagine some of Bridges' elite sitting on
Yeah,
our
no,
shoulders
no,
every morning.
honestly, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I've really had some great mentors. Anyway, when I hear opener, all of a sudden splinter, knowing that I can have as few as 6 points in my hand looking for game, I start thinking, gosh, what kind of hand do we have? And
Mm.
for better or worse, and I might have a double fit with him because, or she, with North's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have diamonds and spades together, basically. So then I literally think to myself, if he's got at least four spades with me when North splinters, and some diamonds with me, and I've got, even though I've got King and Queen of Hearts tight, I think what else could be in his hand for his opener? So I
Mm,
start this down this route
mm,
of thinking of a hand type that North might have to bid this way, and
mm,
is a slam still possible?
mm,
So a lot of people should, I would argue that I shouldn't do this with my hand, but I've got an 11 count with my hand, and depending upon where partners' high cards are, um, you then start to think, gosh, is this, are my King and Queen of Hearts going to be working?
mm,
So these are the thoughts that go through my head, and probably it's almost like I've eaten too much, had too much caffeine or something. I might be too excited about the hand, but I just throw in a cubid of four diamonds there. It's not suit showing, in my opinion. It's a
mm.
cubid for spades. So although it looks like it's suit showing because I've got all these diamonds, we've agreed to play in spades after the splinter.
Okay. So
Um,
partner still doesn't know about the diamond fit that you guys have as well.
exactly.
Mm,
But I think they realize that I might have something more than what I have when I've passed to begin with after they're showing a great fit for my hand.
mm,
So when they bid four spades, I give up. So I'm happy just to play in four spades because I then think about my hand. My spades really aren't that great.
mm,
I need, they didn't bid for no trump themselves looking for my key cards. And they would only find one from me. But I think the robots also play first round control key cards, not first and second round control, meaning that when I bid for diamonds, I've got a first round control in diamonds.
mm.
If I with Bridget, for example, some more advanced players play first and second round controls, which means that if you don't win it on the first round, you're going to win it on the second round.
Mm.
So that's a simple way of thinking of it. So
Playing online here with the BBO robots, what more would you want to keep going, or would you really just trust partner to be the one in the seat in the with um,
well,
in
if
the
they were,
position to explore going higher or not?
they could bid four hearts over my four. They've already shown a splinter, so they've shown a singleton heart.
Hmm.
So they would need to bid for no trump because they would need to have, for their big hand, they would need to have controls and clubs and the ace and king of, potentially the ace or queen of spades. So they kind of, I mean, I remembering the hand, they do have two honors in spades, but which would mean it would depend upon a finesse in spades. Um, and they would have to have something in the diamond suit, something, for to say the king of diamonds, for it to be more comfortable slam.
But
So
generally, you would leave it to them with the stronger of the hands. Leave it
yeah,
to
I
them
mean,
to
so I
explore.
think that if you were sitting in North seat,
Hmm.
you've already showed me that you're singleton in hearts, and I've generated the four diamond bid. So they would be looking at their trump suit, and
Yeah.
they would say, "Wow, I've got ace queen of spades. I've got, I've got these great diamonds, but I'm I'm missing the king of diamonds. Um, so I don't have king, queen of diamonds. And I don't know if that first round control is an ace or could be shortage from partner as well. Um, so I can see why they showed some doubt,
Hmm.
but I don't think I have a hand to push on.
Hmm.
I think North is the one that I've given a little glimmer of hope,
Right.
um,
But
and
trust
they
their judgment here.
trust their judgment. But again, we're playing with the robot, so maybe other partnerships
Hmm.
might understand each other more. And
Mm,
that's a really important point because um, this is just a hand I played over a cup of tea first thing in the morning. Um, Everybody has their partnerships. So I think in the beginning, when you learn a few rules and you have those rules with your partner, you know what to expect from partner. That's really important. So if your partner's expecting a first round control when you bid the four diamonds, then maybe they could have confidence to sort of um, bid four hearts to say, just keep the auction going to find out if I've got something more. Or
mm,
they know I'm a past hand, or they might bid five clubs to say, look, I don't have a first round control in hearts in reality. But what do you think? I've got this. So if you have a good partnership agreement,
mm,
then you can move forward.
mm,
I think that's also really important.
mm. Well, why
Mm.
don't we let's see this lead, and here we go.
Okay, so 10 of hearts. So you first analyze the lead and you think to yourself, gosh, they're leading my partner's known singleton. And they usually don't lead away from an ace. So you're now thinking to yourself, what could this lead be from? So then you start setting up hands around the table.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much know East has got the ace of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you take it from there. You then have to think about how many spades are out there missing. So I then think to myself, well, I've got eight. And so how many spades should be circulating out there? And you do your little simple maths and you know that there's five out there. So you then hope that they split 3-2. Um, and you then do your next steps in your brain. Where do you need the king of diamonds to be? Because you know that after you get the trumps out, it's a good possibility that you can set up that lovely diamond suit.
Your wording just now is interesting. Where do you need the king of diamonds to be?
Yeah, so I always think of it that way. And I think that's something that I had the pleasure of sitting. So I'm going to give a very famous person credit for this. I think Zia always speaks that way. A very
Mm,
Zia, um, who played for one of my very close friends on her team for years, and she was a real cheerleader for me, and let me sit and just listen to all these great players. And
mm,
I think he often says, I mean, I think if you read any of his books, and highly recommend them because they're a fun way to learn about bridge. Um, and they're conversational. I always think of where I want the king of diamonds to be, and I want the king of diamonds to be with East, so the finesse is working and successful.
mm,
And I also think how many diamonds are left out there, um, and I know that there's four diamonds out there, um, and how safe would it be to play a diamond um, early on in my contract before clearing trumps? Do I need to do that before clearing trumps? And how often can I get to North's hand to actually successfully play the diamonds? And how can I successfully play the spades? So it's a timing hand as well.
right.
Where to, where to, I can't remember how I played it, even though I played it just this morning. But let, let's see what happens next. So I've done
Okay,
all.
very good.
So before I've played a card, I've done absolutely all of this, and
Mm,
I really think that every bridge player um, has to think about this in advance, and they make their first line of play. So you've made your mind up where you hope everything should be,
yeah.
and you make your first line of play. That's not to say that um, it's not like there's that film Changing Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow from years ago.
Yes.
It's a bit like that. So you've got your one door that you walked through because you've made your plan, but then something could change and then you have to just go through a different doorway, and then you might have to change, go to plan B, so to speak.
So
And
we're
so
going to
that,
imagine, for example, the King of Diamonds in East hand. Once we get to that door, oh, we might
oh,
find
I've
out, nope,
lost you.
that's not where. We're in the other timeline.
Yeah, so we're doing
Like
that
that.
right now. So let's see what happens.
Does that mean we have to get a haircut so that the viewers know which timeline we're in?
Oh
Like,
no, no, no. I know it's no, so that's the I'm doing plan A at the moment, I believe. And now the robot's going to make a move.
so why the heart lead? Does that do we get an answer yet?
Not well, at the moment we know that the heart lead's been um, potentially from shortage or length, but I'm willing to bet that it might be from length um, uh, here. Uh,
Hmm.
it's literally just promising the 10 when you leave the 10 and then followed by the 9. He's promising um, that he's got the 9. So, and it's interesting that East won it and then slung it back as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially when the, the, the 10 could promise a higher honor. So oftentimes people will lead from an internal sequence. So say if they have king, um, 10, 9 to 5, they oftentimes would lead the 10 in a no trumps auction, in a no trumps auction. But here, I really don't think a lot of advanced players lead away from the king unless it's kind of desperado. Um, I would probably think that they might not have a higher honor there if I was East.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm now thinking that East might have led um, from shortage. East might have played the ace and then returned, um, or might have returned the heart because they felt it was a safe exit card.
Hmm.
Or the other thing is maybe East thought that West might have had the King of Hearts and returned it, making me rough in North's hand because it would be very if I had to rough and win it in North's hand, I would then have to play the diamond play that much earlier, and I might get
Mm-hmm.
it wrong.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's all those possibilities running around in my head.
Hmm.
So you do, as you say, you do analyze the returned trick from East as well. So yeah, but then I won it in my hand, and I think the next job I played was a spade up to the queen. And the reason why I felt comfortable doing this is there was no danger at the moment, and I want to discover about the hand. And if East was to if East only had 2 hearts, it wouldn't make a difference really anyway, because if they returned another heart, I would be safely able to rough it in my hand.
Hmm.
And then I would also think if they returned a club, that would benefit me, which I doubt they would because we can see North as dummy. Uh,
Right. We don't mind losing this trick to East at all. No matter what
no, I
they
don't.
do, it's going to help us out.
100%. And I think that
Ah.
that's a really important thing to chant to yourself that sometimes it's okay to lose something and there's more discovery in the process of losing a trick than 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 you realize sometimes. It's instead of getting disheartened by losing a trick, look at the positive side of it. Like you've learned something else about all the layout of the hands
Allison, you're
potential.
giving us so many golden nuggets. This is a really, really
Well,
wonderful.
this hand seems like a simple hand, but remember we thought about the timing with the A plan in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the next trick I played was either the ace of spades or the queen of diamonds here. So I can't remember, even though it was just first thing in this morning. And if I did play the ace of spades, it's because the known finesse worked. So West either has king X in spades or king to 3 spades, or might have had king to 4 spades. And that would be not great. But if I play the ace of spades now, I either drop the king of spades
Mm.
or I can just then take the diamond finesse. So I'm not sure if I took the diamond finesse first to have a look or if I played the ace of spades. So let's see. You
All
could do
right.
either here.
Here we
Ah,
go. Yep.
I played the ace of spades
And here we go. Let's see.
and boom,
There it is.
it drops.
Well,
So
yeah, I think I don't play that well the first couple hands every morning because I'm pretty groggy. But it looks like so
oh no,
far
that
you're
was that
doing
was that was hand number 6 of the morning.
okay.
In all fairness, because it was like a little uh, either a challenge or a tournament. I
Okay.
didn't do as well on other hands, I have to say, but this was further down.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so then that's great. So now I know there's one more spade out there.
Hmm.
I probably should draw it and go back to dummy with the club and then play the queen of diamonds. And the reason why I can draw it is
Hmm.
because the diamonds look like they're setting up.
Hmm.
If I just get that king of diamonds away.
So
So again,
no need to try the diamond finesse yet. Let's get that last trump out of the way. Let's see
that
if
last dangling trump. Yeah, so I
yeah.
did. So yeah, it's like that's really important that you say that. When you have communication like this all lined up, and I know
Hmm.
Bridget talks about communication a
A
lot,
lot. Yeah.
which I really like. And I think of communication like about like a little car that I'm driving between the two hands. I have abilities to get take all my paths back, but if I had limited communication, whereas say for example, North wasn't as wealthy as it is,
Right. If we didn't have
and I
those
couldn't get back there,
clear
I'd have to
entries
play the
back.
queen of diamonds straight away
Mm.
before safely taking that spade out.
Mm.
But and then here I probably went back up to dummy with the club. Yeah. No point finessing to the jack at all. This is really important. Don't ever, you
Mm.
don't need to. Don't do things that you don't need to do.
Help us
And then
understand why. Why don't we need to there?
because you know that if the diamonds come in, you can get, and you can, they're all coming in, number
Yeah.
one. Number two, you can always rough that dangling jack of clubs with
Yeah.
the nine of spades. So you've already got a winner there. So I don't think of it as a necessary finesse.
Right.
Don't take unnecessary finesses because you know it's going to win anyway, because you can rough it. And then I think the good news comes with the king. And then I think away, I don't know if I carried on playing the hands or if
There it
yeah, I
is.
claimed in the end. So then you
How about
might think to yourself,
rough it
oh,
back?
yeah. But this is a really, so plan A worked.
Yeah.
So I made that plan early on and did ask myself a question like, ooh, 10 of hearts there. And then you can see this hand. He did lead from this great length in hearts. Um, and maybe he led from that because maybe there was a void in North. And maybe he wanted me to have to reduce the roughs in North's hand. So
Hmm.
that's a possibility too that I didn't talk about. Sometimes when you lead from a great length like that, when a
Mm.
shortage is known, or they say in America, shortness, I think. I don't know what
Mm.
you say,
Mm.
shortage or shortness. You sometimes get declarer to have to rough in the north hand, reducing those trumps. And you never know, those trumps could be valuable trumps that you have to use to sort of um, get through the hand. Uh, that could be more difficult for declarer.
Mm.
But the one question you might think to yourself, why didn't Robot, after I made a try, which I might have overcooked my hand in the most wishful way, make a try looking for slam? And maybe it's because there were two finesses that were missing. So there's the
Right.
king of spade finesse and there's the king of diamonds finesse, but they happen to both work. So it
Hmm.
reduces. This is something that Bridget's really good at. She knows all the percentages.
Mm.
If there was one finesse, I think it's fractionally over 50%. But then when there's two finesses that aren't known, I think you're possibilities of making slam are reduced by more. Maybe you could help me out, Bajir. I don't know.
No, I don't know the percentages, but it makes sense. And, it's so easy to second guess what we did after we see the results. But, that's because we got on the train we got on. if
Yeah,
if partner had kept bidding, it wouldn't take much for us to have ended up in quite a bit of trouble.
yeah. So maybe I shouldn't have bid for diamonds with my hand after I saw the splinter. It's just a non-vulnerable game. It's not vulnerable, so looking for a slam, but it's you need to have a lot of partnership agreements. But when I saw the splinter, you knew that North has got to be wealthy opposite 6 points.
Mhm.
But again, this is where I'm still an enthusiastic advancing player. When your partner shuts down and you don't have anything else to say, it's oftentimes just to play in four spades.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, but the thing is interesting is when you do see all four hands and you discover that West led from this, that's a really good conversation for the defense of when, even though shortness is known, when you lead from that length, because a lot of beginners don't anticipate what's going to happen. Oh, that's, why are they leading from that?
It almost
Uh,
feels counterintuitive.
it does, but it's if you're getting declared to trump in the north hand, if they've got a void, you're reducing the trumps around the table
Mm,
and possibly reducing communication. And if he had longer spades, it would be harder for me.
right.
So, yeah, so it's a basic fun hand where plan A works really, really well. Um, but remember to always set up your plan in advance and think about what you need. Um, I can't think of anything else unless you've got more questions of what to
No, it's brilliant.
chat
You gave
about.
us quite a lot to keep thinking about. And why don't I, let's open this up for the viewers. I'll leave this link, the hand viewer link for this hand below. If you'd like to try different lines of play, perhaps try different leads as West or different defenses, see if there's anything you might have done differently. And also weigh in on the comments about that auction. Is there anything
Yeah,
you might do differently? What would it take for you, sitting as either north or south, to want to explore higher? Or did things go exactly as they should and stop exactly when they should?
yeah, I think that's good. But I do think when you look at the hand again, it's what other choice would you lead there? I mean, it's a really good point. You're not going to lead a diamond because that's north suit. Um, you're not going to obviously lead a trump because you want to hopefully use it. But the interesting thing is they have two doubletons there,
Yeah.
and and they chose not to lead from even the other doubleton. So, you know, probably one of the best people in bridge is Andrew Robson here. I mean, he's very good at um, making choosing the right lead, and oftentimes the trickiest leads blind. He's definitely a thinker. I mean, England's got some great bridge players. I really have to say, I'm not familiar with a lot of the other ones around the world, but um, I mean, that's what I would also think about when I'm looking at West's hand.
Mm,
I mean, I don't want to lead a diamond. I already know there's a shortage in hearts, or where are the values in hearts, and does that, because it's a shortage and South all of a sudden bid four diamonds showing a control, maybe that shortage is useful for South. Why else would they be exploring
mm,
Slam? And I probably shouldn't have, because my honor cards are tight in hearts.
mm,
So it's probably really dumb on hindsight to maybe pursue a Slam for that very reason. But it also means that North probably has potentially values in clubs too, because they've obviously got a decent spade suit to be interested with shortage. Oftentimes there's no values in the shortage. It's very rare that it's a stiff ace in North. So to bid a shortage, they must have high card values elsewhere.
Mm.
So maybe that's why they didn't lead the 10 of clubs either. Maybe the safest lead on the
Mm.
hand was from this length, this heart suit.
The
So
least bad option sometimes
yeah,
is the best
ex
lead.
yeah, so that's probably why they did
Mm.
it, and I
Mm.
think that's another point that we didn't touch on before. I
Mm.
mean, this is just one hand, and you can talk about
Isn't it something? There's an
it.
adventure in every single hand.
Yeah, but I do think that there's a lot to be said for sometimes a hand that looks like, oh, this is just like a doldrum hand, but it like covers literally everything.
Yes. A whole
I
universe
mean,
in that hand. In random hand number 6 from this morning.
yeah, yeah, basically, yes. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I'm not as au fait with like the technical things. I'd have to learn how to use your platform, but I had a really nice time, Bajir. Thank you.
Oh, Allison, it was such a joy having you. Thank you for sharing this hand. Thanks for talking it through with us, giving us so much to think about. And please keep an eye out for other interesting hand sixes, random hands from you today. And
Okay.
we'd love to have you back sometime.
Okay, yeah, I enjoyed. Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Bye.
Allison. Bye, all.
Bye. Okay. Okay.